I have a confession to make. Back when I was a younger homeschool mom, and quite honestly, I was never an incredibly young homeschool mom, but when my kids were younger and I was a newer homeschool mom, I used to live in fear that my mother was going to stop by my house in the morning and I was going to be really ashamed at the fact that it was 11 a.m. and I still hadn't started my homeschool day. And it wasn't because we hadn't been up for hours. But my mom worked locally and she sometimes had a habit of just dropping by, which, is not really a huge problem for me. We kind of have that kind of relationship, except I didn't get my day started very well when I was a new homeschooler. And eventually I decided I did not like the way this made me feel. It was stressing me out quite a bit. And so I took some steps to change it. And that is what we are going to be talking about today on this episode of 10 Minutes to a Better Homeschool. Hi, I'm Pam Barnhill, and I have helped thousands of homeschoolers create doable systems, beat burnout, and bring more joy to their homeschool days. Welcome to episode 4 of the 10 Minutes to a Better Homeschool podcast. Okay, so let's talk about this problem of why is it so hard to get started homeschooling each day? And the first thing I want to say is I'm not talking about how early you get started homeschooling. I'm really talking about getting started homeschooling well. Now, back in the day when I was worried about my mother stopping by, one of the things that was happening is we had these activities in the afternoon that maybe happened at 1:30 or 2 o'clock. And a lot of times we would not start our homeschool day early enough. And we would get to like 11 o'clock, the day wouldn't be started. I would look around and think, oh, we're never going to get a whole lot done between lunch and having to walk out the door. So, oh well. We're just not going to homeschool today. Yeah, that was a little bit of a problem because inconsistency in your homeschool can cause all kinds of other problems. And we'll be talking about that in a later episode. But there is a time when you need to get started. So whether that be 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, or even if you can wait and get started until 11 o'clock, it doesn't matter. We still need to start well whenever we start our day. So that's what we're going to be talking about. And so one of the biggest things that is kind of an impediment to beginning the homeschool day well is distractions. So oftentimes we become distracted by good things and bad things. I mean, when I say distractions, the first thing that probably comes to a lot of your minds is something like social media. This is a huge time suck for so many moms. I know it can be for me if I let it get away from me. And so social media is definitely a distraction, but also household chores can be a distraction. It is so easy to fall into, well, I'm in here picking up the breakfast dishes. I might as well go ahead and start cleaning the kitchen. And oh, they're being so quiet and so good in there. Let me keep going. I'm just getting so much done. So that's another kind of distraction. Inherently, there's nothing wrong with it. You're doing one of the jobs that you have to do, which is keeping your house clean, but it can be a distraction. It can cause you to push off the start of that homeschool day so late that maybe you don't get to it at all. So distractions are one of the biggest things. Another thing is the fact that, it's hard to learn to be accountable to ourselves. So often in life, we are held accountable to a boss at a job or to teachers in our class. We didn't, want to get the tardy slip or get fired for being late. And now we're only accountable to ourselves. We only have to worry about, answering to ourselves for our schedule. And so that is another thing that can make it really hard to get started with our day. So what do we need to do to set ourselves up for a successful homeschool day? Well, I like to use a little term that I call friction to help everyone get started. And so you can set up good friction in your homeschool day, and then there can also be bad friction in your homeschool day. So what we want to do is we want to depress all the bad kinds of friction, set ourselves up to make that bad friction that's going to stop us go away, and then build up the good kinds of friction that are going to allow us to kind of slide right into that homeschool day. And a lot of this comes from being proactive. So there are a number of things that you can do. So for the bad friction, if your phone is a hindrance for you, if this causes you a problem, you get sucked into social media or something like that, then you can set up some rules for yourself where you say, I'm not going to check social media before school in the morning. I'm not going to allow myself to check social media until lunchtime or until we're done with the school day. And the same thing could go for email as well. Reading books. Homeschoolers love to read books. Homeschool moms I know love to read books. I know homeschool moms who do not allow themselves to read fiction unless they are on a break from school, because they will get so sucked into the book that they do not want to stop reading. So that is a way to be proactive and set up friction in such a good way that you're eliminating that bad friction. You're eliminating those distractions that are causing you to get tripped up. Now, on the flip side, what you can do for to kind of build up that kind of slide right into your homeschool day is you can prepare things the day before. So one of the things that I like to do when my kids were little is every afternoon, as the last one was finishing up school, I was actually preparing for what we were going to do the next morning. So I never had to think about it in the morning when I was really tired and grumpy. Maybe the baby had been up all night or whatever the case may be. It doesn't take much to make me grumpy in the morning. And so I would prepare the day ahead of time, whatever we needed to start school first the next day. So I would have that ready. Another thing that I like to do is at the end of my day, as I was cleaning up my kitchen, I would take an index card and I would write out, these are the 3 most important things you need to do tomorrow. This is what you're having for dinner. Go ahead and get that out and lay it out. And what is your plan for breakfast? What is the latest time that you can start school and still be finished and out the door for your first activity? I would actually write that time down on the index card. And so that index card, and I got this trick from my friend Misty Winkler at simplyconvivial.com. That index card kind of became my little review, preparing me for the next day. So all of the things I needed were in place to make it easy for me to slide right into that school day. So think about, how can I remove those things that kind of stop me with the bad friction and put in place those things that kind of help me slide with the good friction right into the start of a school day. And then the last thing I would like to encourage you to do is check out my very favorite way to start my school day, and that is with all my kids together. Doing this practice that we like to call a morning basket. And so a morning basket is a fabulous way to set the tone for the rest of your school day. You gather all of your kids around you. You spend the first few minutes of your day doing something delightful, doing something that you enjoy, enjoying your time together, maybe reading aloud a favorite book, maybe singing together, maybe praying together, maybe watching current events and having discussions, especially if your kids are older. But you just build that connection and community first before you dive off into those independent subjects. And we have found through the years that it has been a wonderful way to set the tone for our school day using that morning time. So hopefully something in here spoke to you and you got a great tip to help you get started with your school day. Now, I will be back next week and we are going to be talking all about consistency and why it is so important for homeschoolers. So I would love to see you come back next week and join me for that one. Until then, keep on homeschooling.